Check two, check two.
Nos despedimos con esta cumbiecita sin decir adiós, sino hasta la próxima. Fue un honor y privilegio compartir nuestra música con todos ustedes. Nosotros somos hermanos Herrera. Muchas gracias y buenas noches. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. This is so much fun. So, you guys have 1 minute.
God is a wonderful music teacher, maybe even a better musician. He plays flamenco guitar, classical, but let's not forget that when we had the mariachi for a couple years ago, he played a mean mariachi revuela.
I had so much fun with mariachi. Thanks so much.
Yeah, for sure. Just let us know. We're always helping out. Listen, really, especially our beloved farm workers, because we come from farm working grandparents too. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for what you do. Got a question up here also. anuncio was made, it was written by Cornelio Reina, but it was made very, very popular by a group called Los Veleros del Norte. Los Veleros del Norte happen to be our favorite Costeño band of all time. We grew up listening to Los Veleros del Norte. We started playing Costeño music because we wanted to be like Los Veleros del Norte. And earlier, last year, a couple months ago, we wrote a song. Wrote a song. And we sent it to Los Veleros del Norte for recording. Our favorite band of all time. So he sent me the song back. Got goosebumps. He drove to my house at midnight. Hey, Marco, come outside, get in your car. Put this on. And we were like, all that stuff is still in the pocket. So then we the lyrics. And we're like, that's my song. Who wrote that song? And I got goosebumps too. So then I drove to, we all live in Denver, so then I drove to Antonio's house. Permission to go outside. And he goes to the car. Oh, we have another one song on Bill 1. We'll put it on there. Yes, War Supply that you said is music in the single. So I got this one again, right? And then I heard it on the Billboard as the and he just told me it was the 40th most played song in regional Mexico in 2022, which is pretty crazy because it was only released in September, so I didn't even like the song either when I wrote it, though. I don't know about it. But we're always songwriting. In fact, I think one of my students is that in Boca, so we're just telling me. There it is now. I got a song about that. He was write a song after what do you want to write about? So like every song that exists, right? So we wrote a cool little song together. And we're always songwriting, this is homework, that's our teaching. So now that we're like talking about what we do, we need some members of the grupo. And we'll start with our the youngest of the four of us, Juan Pablo, on the drums back there. Let's get it up for Juan Pablo. He's a assistant superintendent at Ventura County School District. He's making changes out there. They're gonna have their first episode of annual event over there this year, right? No? We're not there yet? Okay. Maybe not. So awesome. Yeah, we have over there this year. We got my brother named Antonio Herrera on bass. He recently got a job at Target in Walmart. That's how Mikey is, though. We call him Mikey. My brother Mikey works for, he got his MBA, both of them got their MBA from USC. So,
You know, mom and dad didn't really show me anything about the environment. That gave me chills.
I was born and raised in Oxnard. This is the first time I've ever been out here.
Nature was not that far away from me.
Pluck that right off and we eat it. Yeah, need some salad dressing.
We won't be able to feed a lot of the country. They will lose their jobs, and it's affecting our local communities.
Soil seems to be healing itself.
Our environment is the local river.
I'm completely passionate about of this amazing group.
Now what do we do?
I want to tell more people about it.
I want to keep filming to keep looking natural.
Healing, getting away from the stress of our everyday life, and finding a peaceful place.
Look at everything you do in your daily life.
That's really special. Everyone can have a contribution in their own way.
Contribute to restoring some of this land.
Small tasks, small changes that have ripple effects.
Hard, like you're working hard. You're back into it. Remember, I'm the editor of the video.
What can we do?
Join up.
Inspiration.
That's all about me.
Nature restoration.
My name is Diana Rodriguez. I'm an ESRM student at Oxnard College. The environment is for everyone. El ambiente es para todos.
And volunteer with Friends of Santa Clara River.
Welcome to OC Live.
Right, we want to inspire all of you. And all kinds of acting, theater. It's going to be a great couple of semesters.
Once in a lifetime.
They are your friends. They are my family.
Hello, good evening, everybody. It's wonderful to see you here tonight. Arts building here at Oxnard College. Let's give it up for Oxnard College. Yeah. We're so happy that you're here. This is our last OC Live of the semester, so it's a little bit wistful for me. But we do have some great events still on campus that I want to let you know about. On April 29th and April 30th, not this weekend, but next weekend, we have Ballet Folklorico, Saturday night and Sunday matinee. Make sure you come. It's here in the Performing Arts Building. That's always a wonderful show every year. And then on May 4, we have the annual Student Art Show here on campus at the McNish Gallery of Art. And then on May 7, we have our Family Festival. That's on a Sunday. And that's really fun, a big free event with lots of great activities. Please come, please bring your family and enjoy Oxnard College. Before we get started tonight, I want to make sure that I thank some people. First, our ASL interpreters. William Sowers is on stage with me now, and then Kelly Turner will be up, Kelly Johnson, excuse me, will be up a little bit later in the event as well. Let's give them a round of applause. Their work is very important to make sure that our events are fully accessible to everybody in our community. I also want to thank our student volunteers. We have a whole crew of student volunteers here tonight from the science department as well as the film, TV, and electronic media department. And they volunteer their time and they make these shows happen. Let's give them a round of applause as well. And finally, I want to thank our co-sponsoring organizations tonight, the Friends of the Santa Clara River, the Oxnard Monday Club, and the Ventura Group of the Sierra Club. Thank you so much for your support of this event. Now, if you're here as a student and you want your professor to know that you attended the event, stick around after the presentation. We will show a QR code on the screen behind me. If you shoot that QR code with your phone, you'll be able to enter your name and your professor's name, and you'll find out. that you were here. So please remember that and wait for it at the end of the presentation. I also want to invite everybody to stick around after our show here on stage in the auditorium. We'll be moving just next door to the conference center, just down the hall in the same building here, to enjoy some refreshments, some snacks, and you'll have a chance to meet with and talk with different organizations that are supporting the Santa Clara River and give us an opportunity to volunteer and give back to the river. Okay, are you guys ready? Yeah, okay, good. So I'm going to get off stage, and I'm going to leave it to Professor Jim Danza, the famous, maybe the notorious Professor Jim Danza, who is going to present Vital River, the virtually unknown Santa Clara River. Enjoy it.
He braved the wildlife of Tierra del Fuego. He climbed the mountains of Patagonia. He has investigated 34 countries. And now, straight from the Arctic, here's Professor Danza!
I knew there was a way out somehow. They told me that anyway. All right, well, welcome everyone. This show is multifaceted, and I hope you stay for the entire program. We are going to have a really brief lecture. I know my students want to hear even more lecturing from me, right? All right, well, maybe. And then we'll have a game show. So I'll be selecting some audience members for the game show. Then we'll follow that by a great panel of guests that will tell you what they're doing for the river and inspire you to not necessarily do something for the river, but something for yourself, because your water comes from this river. After the program, we're going to move to the conference center, and you'll not only have a chance to talk to environmental groups and even governmental folks, but you'll talk about careers, because we have little signs that will tell you what some of the degree programs these people have worked on. I know for a fact many of you are working on degrees, so you can also get a little background. Hey, what was your story? What's your interest? And so you can definitely share in some nice food and drinks that we have over there. So, so with that, I'm going to start off with a short story. This story starts with a famous river made of concrete. Can anyone name that river? Yeah, well, the one I'm thinking of is LA River. There's unfortunately too many concrete rivers. You might wonder, well, why does it have concrete? Well, due to flooding, the engineers back in the day decided concrete's a good way to get rid of that water, because flooding, too much water. Do you think we want that water now? Yeah, we probably do. So back in the late 1980s, a group of artists, poets included, got together and they went down to the LA River and they walked down and saw the concrete and they realized this is actually a living river. There's parts of it even today that are green and beautiful. You can even kayak in part of it. And they saw the rivers being sort of straitjacketed with this concrete, and they're thinking, the river's alive underneath. Something needs to be done to remove this concrete. And the city was ignoring the riverfront. And they asked the river, can we help you? And the river did not say no, which means yes. And so they started a group called Friends of the Los Angeles River. So they've been around for a while. And then a college student decided to join up with them and try to help out and study the river. And as time went on, they met up, and the student asked the group, hey, can you give some information about the river? I'm studying it. And then that student was invited to get some information. It was me. And the student, me, I can say me now, I walk into this house in Malibu with some fairly famous environmentalists. So it's really neat to meet them. And I'm saying hello, and one of the leads for Friends of the Santa Clara River, or Friends of the Los Angeles River says, "Oh, didn't you see the sign when you walked in?" I go, "No, what sign?" So I go back to the front, and I see the sign. It says, "Welcome Jim Danza, Chair of the Technical Advisory Board for Friends of the LA River." I'm like, how did I get promoted? I'm not even part of the group yet. Like, that sounds a little bit weird. So I find out one of the people in charge is going away to college, and they thought right away it was going to be me. I guess they sensed I wanted to do something important. So I end up being that chairperson. I built up a group, and I'll tell you what the result of that was. A lot of years I worked with a few professors, including at UCLA, to stop a project, to believe it or not, but more concrete on that river, to build up river walls that essentially would shield the public even more from this river. And I thought, well, that's wrong. First of all, we need the water. Why are they trying to get rid of more? So I did a study with no money to have an argument against that project, against the big guns, so to speak, county, agency, US government who's paying for the project, to convince them to do something else. It partially worked, and what happened, they started a new conservancy to call the San Gabriel River or San Gabriel Valley Conservancy. That's roughly the name. And so now people are getting involved. There's a push, as you may know, to restore the Los Angeles River, to actually now remove that concrete. So we have a beautiful river here, don't we? You'll see it in a minute. You're going to see a lot of the river tonight, and it is gorgeous, but more importantly, it's sustaining for the Oxnard Plain. And so that's why I want to inspire you and be involved in one way or another with where your water comes from, in nature, and all the importance of it. All right, so again, we'll have a great show. Let's get it started. All right, so we need the slides going up here. We got a few slides. So the vital river, the virtually unknown Santa Clara River. So what makes it so vital to you? That's what this presentation will be about. Look at the names of the cities that depend on this river. It's sort of like the bloodstream, right? That supplies oxygen to you. It supports your life here. And it literally greens the Oxnard Plain, our farms, our businesses, and your homes. Well, you say you don't know your river that well? Let's figure out why. Here comes the flood. Better do something about it. Oh no, trash. Notice, you're still drinking from it. So we're walled off from the Santa Clara River. Not necessarily completely with walls, although there's an attempt to do some of this in a lot of our communities. And what causes us not to know this river is it's hard to get to. Who has actually seen the Santa Clara River, like a good view of it? Anybody out there? Not too many people. It's a little bit hard to get to. There's roads, there's farms, there's houses in the way, and it's just not visible, so you're not thinking about it. This is where geography
of the river has shielded you from knowing your own water source. What's going on? So let's introduce it. This is your watershed, including mountains over 8,000 feet tall. Provides water to our cities and our agricultural areas. The watershed has mountains, valleys, deserts. Here's a view from a few months ago with a beautiful snow melt and water coming down the river. Yes, that snow back there pretty much comes by your house. This is Ventura County's largest watershed. It extends to almost to the deserts out here in Palmdale, through the cities of Santa Clarita. If you know, Magic Mountain is along the stream as well, and including Mount Pinos up here in northern part of Ventura County, up at 8,000 foot elevation. And there we are. It's one of the larger watersheds in Southern California, about the third largest. When you take a close look at the watershed, these are the streams that feed into the river. It's almost like capillaries, like in your body, right? Providing oxygen and food. Most of the flow comes from Sespe Creek. That's up above Ojai on the other side of the mountains. Luckily, it's protected by national forests. And it all comes down to the Oxnard Plain. There's a nice view of the Camarillo area. And the river ends at the ocean, at the estuary, a rich biological area. But there are some bad things about rivers, right? You know about the floods? Maybe you live in a floodplain and don't know it. Should you be concerned? Well, there were floods in 1938. Really big ones in 1969. And even more recently in the 1990s and early 2000s. Here's Santa Paula Airport. Looks like the river cut into the airport, right? Or is the airport in the river? You decide, right? We say rivers flood, but maybe we built some places that should not be there. Looks like the river wants to own that real estate. Here it is in 2023, right? This past year. Some nice flows. It's still flowing about this rate from springs and from snowmelt. This river is going to flow for many, many months towards summer. And nice rainfall and snowfalls. And still the farmers in a lot of places are saying, well, the river's flooding. We may have some money, right, from the federal government for flood relief. But in a lot of ways, you can look at it, well, maybe that farm should not be essentially in the floodplain or the river that deeply. This is a floodplain map, courtesy of the Nature Conservancy. Along with federal government, they map out flood zones. So you can try to find your house on some of these maps online. This is where the river ends. And if you take a look on the left, you see the river's all over the place. This is one of the floods, and it literally drained into Ventura Harbor in 1969. And on the right, you can see how we try to keep it in a certain zone. But the next big flood, it's sort of open for grabs. The river will try to go where it needs to go based on physics. So how important is your water source to you? Right? I think you all have some water in you. So let's thank the river for that. So let's take a look here. City of Ventura, 100% local water with a big portion from the Santa Clara River. City of Port Hueneme, 75% groundwater. Where does the groundwater come from? The river ultimately started there. City of Camarillo, 26% local water, again, related to the river. And Oxnard, well, you add up the 36% and the 30% from United Water, and that ends up being a big chunk, about 2/3, right, of the water in Oxnard is related to that river directly. So who's in charge of your water? Does anyone know? Can anyone name an agency or board members or anybody? Like nobody, right? So it's largely run by farmers, which is good because farmers are a huge user of water. But who's representing you? You don't know. We don't know, right? Most of us aren't paying attention to that, but you actually have the opportunity to vote for commissioners, boards that run water in this county, including the County Board of Supervisors, who often themselves are on certain boards and districts that run our water. One of the agencies, United Water Conservation District, they try to catch water in these facilities from the river, let it soak in the ground. And get this, up to 10 feet of water can soak into the ground per day, 10 feet. So that's a lot of water soaking in if there's water in the river. But great way to get water into the ground where it's stored is a floodplain. Now that might look like a good place to build a house. It's not, or a farm. But that's the floodplain. This will flood occasionally and gives the nature a chance for the water to soak in. So natural rivers, yes, they should have wide areas. So when it rains, the river can spread out and percolate into the groundwater table where it's stored. Then your cities can pump it out and use it. If it's in concrete or surrounded by concrete, look how skinny it is, right? There's less area for infiltration. And what's the importance of this now? Well, think about climate change. This is the pattern now. The left side there, you can see storms are a little more averagey. In the right-hand side, we get spikes of too much rain. And then we get spikes, a lot more spikes of drought. So water is becoming more and more important locally. Here's our drought tendency. More and more droughts, that's the orange lines, and bigger spikes of rainfall. That's like this year, right? Tremendous rainfall. But we had 5 years of drought in a row. So this is not a good situation to be in. But we'll see what happens when the atmospheric river comes in. This is a government agency, the NOAA, they're called, National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, animation of the atmospheric river in the sky, that brings so much rain and snow to California sometimes. Then what about wildfires? Who's deciding to manage our forest? Who's deciding to build houses here or there? We call that land use. So public participation is needed in that. These tremendous fires are threatening our watersheds as well. How will we cope? Here's a professor's solution. Drink Mexican beer. Oh, this joke is only for over 18. No, it's 21, yeah. So don't pay attention if you're under 21. Yeah, we can use their water. All right, so what about the ecology of the river? Now, it's not just about protecting fish or a bird or a plant. You have to remember the ecology of the earth is what causes fruit to grow, right? It's the bees, the birds that pollinate, for example. We call those ecological services. And so we need ecology, right, to do that. And, you know, things like fish are also food. And this is called the Freeman Diversion. It's essentially a small dam on the river that captures water. Here comes a fish. Oops, can't swim very well past that. This type of fish is called a steelhead trout. They are born in the mountains. They swim downstream, years like this, go out to the ocean. They start off this big, and they become fish, big fish. They grow up in the ocean, which is really cool, right? It's like free ecology, right? Become big, and then they actually swim upstream to lay eggs and reproduce, except when there's a dam in the way. So some of these agencies like United Water have built some facilities to try to allow the fish go up a ladder. Yeah, it's not that kind of ladder, like, you know, it's not like a cartoon fish that's gonna climb, but there's a way to get them up there, but it's not really working. So there's a lot of concerns about, you know, what we need to do to preserve this fish species, which is endangered now. Are we making good decisions even now with concrete, right? You think we'd learned some lessons from Los Angeles, but yet our local Ventura County Watershed Protection District has a project that will essentially put some concrete on the river near River Park. And a flood protection project is needed there. If you live near River Park, we definitely want to have flood protection, but we're not necessarily agreeing with concrete as a solution. But here it is, 2 miles of concrete is proposed along here. and plus a nice dead zone so they can manage the ground there a little bit better somehow. What about upstream, right? It's not all about Ventura County. This river goes into LA County. What are they doing? They're building houses. They're building cities. 5 cities are due to be built in the next few years upstream, called Newhall Ranch. And that's going to affect the floodplain because they're building in the floodplain. So I don't want to talk too long. So how are we doing? The percent awake meter says 85%. Someone else just dozed off. So get your attention again. Wait, someone's falling asleep. All right, shh. Should we wake them up? All right, ready? Do a hoot. 1, 2, 3, hoot. All right, everyone's awake. That was a lousy hoot, but somehow you woke them up. All right. All right, so what's the vision for the river? We'll have a lot of conversations about this, but let's talk about how we can do more natural flood control and increase the use of water responsibly, right? Habitat preservation, education. We'll have an educator on the stage tonight to talk about that. And climate change, right? It's all part of this. So we'll get into these topics as we kind of go through. But I do want to mention that other places are managing the rivers pretty well that we can get some lessons from. For example, seeing the river. We need a bike trail and walking trail along the river, right? So you can actually see it and enjoy it. We just don't have much of that now. Look at San Diego County. What's that, like about 6 trails going from inland to the ocean. Imagine you can ride to the ocean safely away from traffic along a beautiful river. Los Angeles County has roughly 3 or 4 trails going out, including the one I mentioned in my monologue, going from San Gabriel Valley all the way down to the ocean. You can ride without any traffic. Ventura County, here we go. 1 trail. And it's not where most of the people live. It's up toward Ojai. So we have some work to do on our river to make it accessible. Other towns, I'm going to go through this really quick. This is what Denver, Colorado proposed, and this is what they built. Of course, they have a lot more water in their river from the Rockies, but what a wonderful public place it is, where you can enjoy the river, see the trees, some of the wildlife, and this is in downtown Denver. There's a whole trail system in Colorado. You can actually ride across half the state away from traffic and enjoy beautiful bike rides. I can't ride that far, though. But you can do parts of it, obviously. Reno, Nevada. Los Angeles River, they have a great bike trail from almost to downtown LA, including a bike station where you can get your flat repaired if you get one. Fremont, California. Who's heard of Fremont, California? Anybody? Right, beautiful trail. Caliente, Nevada. I know you haven't heard of that town. Right, small town Nevada, they got a beautiful river trail. Here's Breckenridge, Colorado again. Beautiful public spaces. This gets into urban planning. We'll have someone with a degree on urban planning in the room next door. Castle Rock, Oregon, places you probably never heard of. Lima, Peru, you've heard of, right? They have 2 trails, in this case along the coast. One on the cliffs, one down below, including cute dogs that dress fun in fun ways. Tucson, Arizona. I have to update this slide. It has over 150 miles of trails in the city. And Tucson's a big city, right? They just decided to do this. So maybe we'll try to figure that out tonight with some of our guests. How can we get some of these projects going? And they have a lot of bridges that cross over. There are arroyos and barrancas. So great investment they've made in their community. Now, if Bakersfield can have a great trail, right? We can. It's a little bit hot and smoggy, honestly, to ride there. You know, we have the beautiful cool air here. But Santa Clara River upstream in LA County has some beautiful trails as well, as you see here. All right, so how difficult would it be? Well, it's turning out it's taking some nonprofits, some of the groups here, and some of the citizens working hard to try to get a trail for us. A natural place is near River Park, because remember this project? Well, we're asking them to put a bike trail in, and it might happen, but so far the county can't find the funding, but we're trying to encourage them to do that. This is where you could help, right? You can literally write your county board of supervisors and say, where's the river trail? Every other city has it. Here's the plan that Friends of the Santa Clara River and the Sierra Club are working on with a grant from the National Park Service to build a loop trail. It literally goes from the 101 freeway to Satakoy on both sides of the river and eventually to the ocean. It's just a plan at this point. You can see nice exhibits about this next door in the later part of the program. This is what it will look like. Rio Schools helped to come up with some of these plans. We're still hoping to get a project like this done, but I'll tell you why it's not happening. Not enough of you know about it to ask for it. I find that when I teach communities what they could have, they're like, yeah, I want that, right? If I just ask you, like, what do you want for a park? And most people will say, oh, a soccer field. It's used a lot, we could use another, or a picnic table. And you show them what a river trail can be, or what public spaces can be. And they're like, yeah, I want a nature center. Well, we'll talk to some of our guests about that. Some great designs. I would love to take my classes down to the river, right? But we really don't have a public place right now. There's some projects underway that will start that process, but we need a lot more. Every school should have access to learn about rivers. Actually go down there and visit. So right now, it's just a dream until you get involved, right? So here's some nice images done by a college, Cal Poly Pomona. They put together a great plan called the Santa Clara River Parkway. It's the idea of having a beautiful river trails from here all the way up to LA County, almost to the desert. You could actually do an overnight trip on a bike. Of course, it might take me like 3 nights to go that far, but what a wonderful idea. There's some viewing areas. We have a kiosk. You can learn about the river, take classes, have an outdoor classroom. We're starting to build some of these places now, but a lot more needs to be done. That's why you need to be involved. All right, so we're going to switch now to a super fun part of tonight's program, and that's going to be the game show. So I need to get some contestants. So if we get some house lights, maybe, and I can... We have a brief message.
See yourself down at the river trail.
Oh, wrong one, Jeremy. We have a brief message.
Brought to you by Calamity Deodorant. When you're out fighting climate change, there's Calamity. Calamity is a drug that should only be used to treat perspiration during heat waves, mass migration, sea level rise, and yelling at climate deniers. Side effects may occur, including dryness during prolonged droughts, during unusually heavy downpours, nausea at climate data, irritation at protest marches, and thoughts of insults during climate debates. This is not a climate change drug and will not treat heat stroke, irritable Congress syndrome, or climate-induced plausible deniability. Product is not effective during sea level rise. If a fiery rash begins, or a rash of fires, see your climatologist.
All right, so that's our fun regular commercial now. All right, well, we got our first contestant. Come on out, contestant number 1. Give us some applause. All right, come on over. All right, so you can talk into the mic. What's your name?
My name is Zuriel Avila.
Okay, and what classes are you taking here? Or it's a few of them, any of them?
Your class, Geology 101. Oh, Geography 101.
Yeah, it has a G in it.
Sorry.
We talk about geology a lot too, though. Yeah.
Sociology 101 and Sociology 103, and what's the last one?
I was going to say your major if you have one.
Oh, Environmental Science.
Yes. Environmental Science. Who teaches that? Do you know?
You.
Yes. It's a commercial, basically. The whole thing's a commercial, apparently. All right, bring out our next contestant. Yay! All right, so your name?
My name is Tracy Huang.
All right, Tracy. And let me guess, you have geography?
No, I have geology. I'm kidding.
Okay, wow. She's good. Very good, very good. All right, so let me stand to the side here a little bit, and I'll tell you about the game. The name of the game show is River and Jeopardy. It's only going to be true and false. So if you're not sure, pick true or false. All right, so let me get this queued up here. River and Jeopardy! I realize the type's a little bit small there, but all you got to do is read the top, and for some reason the numbers aren't showing. I wonder why. We got a little bit of a transfer problem. So just, I'm just going to pick them for you. How about that? Right. You know, Jeopardy has like $100. No, we don't have that. All right, so Cry Me a River is going to be the first category here. And, all right, so I'm going to, is this true or false? Geography and environmental science are great.
Very true.
All right, let's check it out. Is it true? I wonder. All right, something's a little bit, there we go. Wow, true, what a wild guess. In case you guys didn't clap, we got it now. All right, I'm sorry, next is Tracy. Certain fish are known to swim from the ocean to the mountains, mate, and then die.
That is true.
All right, let's check out here. True, very good, very good. All right, next one. The community of El Rio is in the bottom of a river.
True.
False. What? Not exactly. They were smart when they built El Rio. It's actually a high ground next to the river, but River Park's another story. It was built later. All right, I'm keeping score in my head, I swear. Actually, do we have anyone keeping score?
I think I'm waiting.
Yeah, I'll rely on you guys back there. Okay, a citizen could spend years of effort to get a bike path, walk path along the river.
I want to say that's true.
All right, we got one for Tracy. All right, back to Zuriel. There is a flower that only grows after a flood.
True.
Wow, good in science major. All right, endangered slender horn spine flower. It has a seed coating that wears off in a flood, and then it allows it to sprout, so it knows when there's a flood, in a way. So a variety of tree could grow from an 8-inch section of branch. Tracy.
That is true.
Yes, Tracy's got it. That'll be a willow tree is one species that does that. If you chew a willow stem, it might relieve your headache. Zuriel.
True.
Yes. The species is known as salix, which is salic acid, similar to aspirin. It's actually our local indigenous people. Irwin, GWIMP, Sigma, SQUIRP, NPDS, OMG, and LLL are acronyms likely used by water professionals.
I'm going to say that's false.
It's true. No points. Oh, well. All right, back to Zuriel. Much of the beach sand was once a mountain that flowed in the river.
False.
We didn't get to that chapter yet. Sorry. But now you know for the test. That's even more important. Right. The upper watershed of the Santa Clara River is practically a desert. Tracy.
What does the audience think?
Oh, wait. No help. It's not that game show where you get help.
It's true. I'm gonna
no
say
calling
it's true.
people. What'd you say?
I said true.
True. And it is true. All right.
Thank you, audience.
All right, one last call in here. Melted snow flows by Oxnard and Ventura, Zuriel.
True.
All right, on a roll now. All right, Tracy. Although data supports bigger floods, LA County is reducing the area of floodplain.
I'm gonna say true.
That is true. All right, back to Zuriel. Land management of many areas adjacent to our waterways is to kill vegetation. It's cheaper.
True.
Yes, unfortunately true. No one wants to clap because it's sad, huh? But you got it right. Ventura County has some of the biggest river trails in California in the highest population area. Tracy?
That is true.
False. We're about the worst. Yeah, unfortunately. Yep. You're learning. All right, this is the last one, and this is for Zuriel. About 750,000 people depend on the Santa Clara River for water.
True.
It's false. It's 750,001. Someone just had a baby. Oh, man. You're like, really? Should we give it to him?
No.
She says no. So how many people want him to get it? Come on. Who's for Tracy?
No.
Poor Tracy.
Yeah.
She's not getting it right.
Luckily, they know each other. I think it's going to work out. All right. So who's the winner? Do we know?
Well, Professor Janza, it looks like a tie.
No. Wow, a tie. Well, it's okay to have a tie because you guys know each other. No? Oh. I saw you guys sitting together. There was a little hand-holding going on, I think. I don't know, maybe
Don't
not.
be gross now. Don't be gross.
All right, so we have a fabulous prize that you're going to have to split somehow. All right? So let's get ready. We'll do the second prize first. Let's do the second prize first. And you get your pick of stage plant. Only the small ones. So we got a couple of these that make beautiful flowers. These are native plants right here. And if you're brave, you can get that one back there. It's a native rose plant. Like Rose Valley above Ojai, they grow there. But don't hug that plant. You won't let go. So you can pick either one, whoever's in second. Or one each. We'll keep it equal. Go ahead. Just pick a plant there. Now let's get ready for the grand prize. You get one of each? All right, yeah, grab that one. All right, so let's get ready for the grand prize.
See yourself down at the river trail with a beautiful, classic Schwinn 1982 Cruiser. Bell sold separately, batteries not included.
Yes, donated by Bike Ventura.
Oh, really?
All right, yes, that's your prize. Now, how do you want to split that? I don't know. You can take
one wheel each.
Yeah, someone can actually sit here. I've done that before. That's the beauty about these bikes. All right, so give them a big applause. All right. All right, go ahead.
So just ride it off stage, or?
Are you guys staying for the show after?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to put it in the conference room.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
All right, I think it's time for our panel. Coming up next here. All right, this is the part of the show where we'll have some very special guests on our panel today. They are all river experts, and you're going to enjoy what they have to say from a lot of different perspectives. All right, so our first panelist is, you ready for Kat Selm with the Nature Conservancy. All right, so welcome, Kat, and tell us something about the Nature Conservancy. What do they do?
Well, the Nature Conservancy is a really big organization. We work in 71 countries, but we touched down here in Ventura County because of the Santa Clara River. So we've been working here for about 20 years to try to protect the Santa Clara River from becoming a river kind of like the LA River. So you really set me up there with telling that story because it really paints a great picture of what we don't want the Santa Clara River to become. So we've been working to protect 21 river miles of the 90 miles that the Santa Clara is.
Yes, give applause, because that's people working hard, donating. So how do you actually protect it? What do you do?
Yeah, we protect it by buying it. Actually, you can own the river bottom of the Santa Clara, which is kind of a bizarre thing. You can't usually own river bottoms, but it's a Waters of the U.S. thing. It's because it goes dry most of the year, so you can own it. So we have lots of nature preserves dotted along the river channel. And our other goals of doing this work is to connect people to nature and to restore habitat for biodiversity and to reduce wildfire risk by removing non-native plants and to connect the floodplain back together.
Okay. So do you have any projects coming up that will be open where the public can interact with?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking that question. We're so excited that we're going to be able to offer the first publicly accessible preserve on the whole Santa Clara River. And it's going to be opening this winter. And it's in Santa Paula, just outside of Santa Paula off of Briggs Road. And it's going to be a passive recreation opportunity for people to come walk and hike, bird watch, bring nature groups, school groups, and we're going to have guided hikes and programming and things like that. So we're super excited to be able to offer that to the community.
Great. Yay. So in your opinion, your personal opinion, what do you think people could do, like the audience could do to support some of these goals?
Yeah, absolutely. Just because I say that we're protecting it and we're restoring it, there's still a lot of threats to this river, as you mentioned. We need to be watchdogs, and we need to watch for things like water quality impacts, oil spills, development, encroachment on the river of levees and things like that. And that involves visiting the river, knowing about it, so coming out to it and actually seeing it when these places open, like our nature preserve that's going to open in Santa Paula. And then getting involved in organizations like Friends of the Santa Clara River, Santa Clara River Conservancy, and the Nature Conservancy. And those are ways that you can help contribute to the impact that those groups are making.
Okay, so they can find out some stuff online, and not your table today.
Yeah, come by my table.
All right, thanks. I'm going to go ahead and bring on our next guest. It's Lynn Rodriguez. All right, welcome. All right, so welcome, Lynn. And so tell us what organization you're working with that represents and works with the river in the watershed.
Yeah. Well, I'm one of those acronyms that you saw up there.
Yes. Which one was it?
IRWM.
Yeah.
So
Irwin, as we often say.
There's acronym soup in the world of water. My name is Lynn Rodriguez, and I work with the Watersheds Coalition of Ventura County, which is a group of people who have an interest in the watershed and an interest in the river, and want to work together to protect the resources and to work with communities to make sure that there's ample supply, that the water quality is good, and that our watersheds are protected and restored in the areas where they've been degraded. There's a lot of degradation, unfortunately, in all of our watersheds, and the river's at the center of that. And it's our group works collaboratively with cities and some of the entities along the river, organizations like the Nature Conservancy, with citizen groups, with water districts and sanitary districts, and land use agencies. It's pretty comprehensive. Flood control. We work with the fire department on fire resilience issues, so it's a pretty comprehensive way of protecting the future of the river and the watershed.
So basically it's a collection of agencies, cities, and nonprofits. So is there a public end to it, or is it kind of through the nonprofits? Is there a public end to this? Or what way could the public influence to know more about it?
Yeah, we are an inclusive and open organization that anybody can join. But our meetings tend to be during the day when people are working, so we do have more agency participants than we do general public, but we try to produce material and information and work collaboratively with those that are actually engaging more directly with the public. because our process is a little bit less accessible than, say, the Nature Conservancy or
Right.
the Friends of the Santa Clara.
But if you have a board, like a water district or a city rep, so voting for those folks sort of influences the policy, right?
Yes.
So voting, comes back to voting?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we produce educational material, too, through our watershed groups. So we have a watershed committee for the Santa Clara River, and that's a way that you can get engaged to learn more and to be active.
Right. Yeah, and I would hope also some students that are interested, once you get a degree, getting involved, you could end up involved in something like this, where through nonprofits or government work, or even you use consultants too, right, for some stuff, consulting companies.
Yep.
So there's degree paths related to all this.
And the universities and the colleges in the community are a great opportunity for us to do research. University of California, Santa Barbara does a lot of research along the river. Cal State Channel Islands has been getting involved in projects on the river, and local school districts and city colleges. So
right, exactly.
That's a really important avenue for growth and learning.
Right. So personally for you, like what's the excitement that you get? Like why are you involved in the river and spent so many years dedicated to the watershed in the river?
Well, the work I do is really about partnerships and about collaboration and about bringing people into the process, because it really is important that everybody have an influence and a say about what happens in the river. I think first and foremost, what the river does is it provides beauty and a sense of connection to nature, and that brings people in, and that's what excites me, is to see people working together for the betterment of the watershed. I'm glad that you brought up the vision plan that was done back in 2009, I believe. So many great ideas in there for opportunities to engage with the river. The work that Kat's been doing with her group is just so important to open it up so that more people know and understand. So I'm inspired by that, and that's why I do the work I do.
So there's plans, there's drawings, there's plans. What do you think is the next thing that needs to happen to kind of get to the next level where we're seeing more access, besides what Kat is doing, like government-wise, these cities and agencies that get together? What's the next step to have a noticeable thing for the public? Like, wow, there's now a river trail or access here, or there's a placard that tells me where my water comes from. Like, how do we get there, you think?
Well, it's a long process, but one of the things we always need is funding, and getting the funding to do the elements of the project. And I'm very involved in that side, working with some of the state grant programs. So we have ideas, visions, and different groups have things they want to do, stakeholders that want bike paths, people that want access for recreation and for other purposes. So connecting all those dots and providing funding to make sure they happen, and then to get community engagement in what it is you want. And I'll give you just a very quick example of something we've been doing with our Water Talks program, which is funded through a state grant that helps, and you'll see some examples of that program in the display area later. But we put together some workshops, and a local organization called Cause held a really interesting community evening in Santa Paula, where they brought people in and asked them what their concerns about climate change were in their community and how they can engage in making, in solutions for that, and what projects they'd like to see.
Yeah, I would suspect climate change funding is increasing, so hopefully we're ready to start getting some of the funds, get people out of cars, carbon sequestration through vegetation and plants, and hopefully we'll start seeing those changes. So, all right, well, thanks for the work you do. So let's give her a little more applause for all the great work for yourselves. All right, I'm gonna bring out our next guest, Diana Rodriguez. I don't think any relation.
No.
All right, Diana.
Hi.
All right. So Diana, what's your favorite college in the world?
Oh my, Oxnard College, hands down, my favorite.
And why is that?
I expected to go to a 4-year university after high school, and I wasn't able to do that. But community college was another option, and I'm very, very thankful that it was a more economical option for me and a close option to where I lived. So I definitely support community colleges.
So what we're saying is you're a student of?
Community college, local community college. I went to Ventura College as well, so I can't leave that one behind.
Oh, that's over there in the hill. Yeah, not that hill, but one of those hills. But yeah, so you attended Oxnard College, right?
Yes.
And so you moved on to working on the river directly?
I did.
Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, now I'm working with the Explore the Coast grant alongside Nina Danza, and she brought me in as well. I know, after you brought me into Friends of the Santa Clara River, I really was lost in what I was going to do. I had a successful career in the corporate world, but it was soul draining. It was awful. And now I have a lot more interaction with kids. We're taking out kids to 2 different coastal sites, one of them being the wildlife ponds in Ventura and the Santa Clara River estuary as well. So we're taking kids from our local area school district, kids from kinder to 12th grade, just showing them, giving them exposure to nature.
Yeah, that's such a great road that you took. So I often hear from students that are interested and they feel like, well, I don't know that much about the river or the plants. I mean, how hard is it to go from just taking a class, like you took environmental science, and then suddenly being like in charge of kids? Was it a lot of studying, or is it hard, or how do you learn stuff? Is it?
It was very, to be honest, I'll back up a little bit. I didn't even know that I lived next to the river. And it wasn't until I took the college class that I realized, oh my gosh, there's a river that I never see water flowing through it, so I didn't think that anything about it. But after that, it was just volunteering, showing up to different meetings, meeting different people, events like this, that really led me to the position where I'm at now.
Okay. So you kind of start learning stuff by doing it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I always feel like students are like, well, I don't know anything, so I don't want to do anything. But the only way you do it is by
just doing it. Doing it.
Start doing it. Because I didn't know anything either at one point, believe it or not. Like when I was a toddler, like I didn't know anything about rivers. But anyway, all right. So when I was middle school, then I may have heard of them. So, all right. So great. I think we'll move on to our last panelist, and he's going to give a little talk that hopefully will inspire you. He's a great educator here in Ventura County. He's superintendent of schools for Rio School District. And so let's welcome Dr. John Puglisi.
All right, it's great to be here. Such a dark room. How many people here, and you can just raise your hand, but I can't see, or you could say, or something good like that. How many people are students here at Oxnard City College? All right. That was an unusual thing. So, and then how many people are not Oxnard College students? All right, let's give them a different, let's go, oh. If you weren't an Oxnard City College student, you say, oh. All right. Well, thank you for inviting me here and for giving me time. Just give me the big hook. This gentleman will give me the big hook when my time is up. All right? Because I can talk on for a really long time about almost anything, and I can really talk on a lot about rivers. There's a lot of common themes that I heard. One was until I started thinking and learning and teaching kids and teaching with teachers and finding out about rivers, I really didn't know very much about rivers. I knew a lot about other stuff that I learned about. What a superintendent does is they intend to do super things. But they're really just like a CEO. Like the Rio School District has 9 schools. I used to be a teacher. Then I was a principal. Then like principal of all the principals and answering to a school board who gets elected. That's what a superintendent is. But I always like to work with students and kids and young people no matter what. I'm like on a mission, and my mission apparently is educating. So one thing that we have always been doing is kind of the opposite of what a lot of kindergarten through 8th grade schools or high schools do. Instead of like chopping up all of our learning into science, math, social studies, we just really try to have kids of any age or people of any age find out about stuff that they really want to learn about. And turns out there's science, math, and everything. There's culture and everything. There's language and everything. So one thing that we have been doing is something called the River Literacy Project. First of all, for those of you who do go to Oxnard College, give me that sound again. Oh man, all right, you're fired up. I hope you get more fired up like that at Oxnard College. But I'm not heckling you because you didn't give me a good because I just wasn't performative enough to get you the Come on, Oxnard City College, say, what do we got to say? I should have brought my guitar. What do we got to say? You notice I gave you instead of something else. Okay, so we started doing this project called River Literacy Project. My main mission, my job title, any educator, there's really two things to do. When they send us, the kids to us, we have the duty to protect. And nowadays people are really freaking out about that. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? Don't know what I'm talking about? I'm glad you don't know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? People who are sending their kids to school, they're worried about their safety. First job, duty to protect. It comes from a legal term, in loco parentis. When they send us kids, we become their parent legally until we give them back to them. So that's the first job. After that, you have a duty to educate, whatever that means. To go to college, you got to pass go and collect $200. You guys have done that already. That's a Monopoly frame, a Monopoly reference. Did you get that? No. Yes. Okay. Excellent. So that you know what collecting $200 and passing go is doing whatever a high school requires you to do to graduate. Then you know what that does in college? Whatever they ask you to do. Pass your classes, get the credits, get a degree, get the piece of paper so that somebody else can give you a job or whatever reason that you did that stuff. That's the duty to educate at the lower level. That to me is really reading, writing, and mathematics. Mathematics, we find, is the thing that is apparently the hardest to teach, and we'll just say the hardest to teach, because it's not the hardest to learn. We just don't teach it very well. And it turns out there's a lot of math in rivers. So we've been doing this project called River Literacy Project, and we have been connecting with people all around the world. And so what I did was the same thing. That's how I ran into Mr. Danza. I was like, oh, let's study this river that we actually, all of our schools, by the way, we are the Rio School District. ¿Quién habla español aquí? Yo. ¿Sí? Bueno. Todas las escuelas tienen nombres. Rio Lindo, Rio Plaza, Rio Real, River this, River that. So it turns out they're all related to a river. So I said, let's study this river. I've been living here since 1994 in the watershed, drinking the water, showering in the water, having the water go through osmosis. I always ask this interesting question. You know that when you go in your shower and your skin kind of gets, if you stay in there too long, it kind of looks like it dried up? Who knows the answer? I still don't know the answer. Does water go in you when you take a shower, or do you lose water when you take a shower?
It saturates your skin, and so it expands.
It goes in, you think?
Yeah.
I think so. Okay, all right, good. There we go. It seems like the water goes out. But anyway, I said, let's study this river. I'm like, all right, excellent. Come on, we're going to study the Ventura River. I thought it was the Ventura River. Then I found out the Chumash don't call it the Ventura River. They don't call it. They don't call any of these rivers. They have other names. Started learning about all these rivers. I learned so much stuff, and with kids. And I'm a musician. I'm making music. I'm an artist. I'm making art about that. I'm doing that with kids. I'm just learning so much stuff I never would have learned. I learned also about basketballs. It's a math term. There's like a flow of river. When these people who like talking about how much water is running in the river. And by the way, when I looked at the Santa Clara River, I said, what river? What did I say? There we go. You're faster than
And by the way, the sound is part of the indigenous Chumash language for river, utam. So you're halfway there. You were saying river almost, going utam.
And I had just looked that up on my phone before I came in here. It was pre-planned. No, it wasn't. Because I like to be improvisational. What was I talking about? Basketball. Oh, basketballs. Okay, so I'm like, how much water is flowing through these rivers? I know there's some good math I can get. And anyway, we bring experts. Check it out, riverliteracy.org. It's a project. It's cool. It has shows just like this. You can check it out. You can do them live, but you can also see them online. Riverliteracy.org. People from all over the world doing stuff with just us, kids and teachers. Anyway, I found out that when we asked the scientists, the hydrologists, hydro, what's that mean? Thank you. Probably means the same thing in Espanol. Right? Este también es una cosa muy fácil para los que están hablando español primero, porque muchas de las palabras en ciencias y matemáticas son las mismas en inglés, porque viene de raíces latinos. They come from Latin words. Anyway, I just said a lot of the words are the same. Hydro, anyway. How do you say water in Spanish? Thank you. How do you say river in Spanish? Yeah, that's why all the schools in the Rio Lindo, Rio Plaza. We built a school on Rio. How much time do I got, Mr. Danza?
A few minutes.
Okay. You can't say that. You got to give me the strict mathematics. Basketballs. So I said, like, come on, how am I going to do some math with these kids? They're 8th graders. It's like some algebra or it's some physics. And they say, well, we use this. We use this idea with kids to help them think about the flow. The flow, the force of the water in a river, it comes from two things. Just the velocity, like it's moving, but it also comes like how wide the river is. Like, and how deep, like how much. So if you picture a basketball, they use that for a cubic meter.
Cubic foot.
And so I'm like, okay, like 40,000 basketballs are flowing, and right now there's water in the river. It's so awesome. I mean, it's unbelievable. There's river in there. It's been dry for all this time. How many basketballs flowing through there? And then we can do like mathematics, and that's what actually algebra is good for, and calculus even better. Changing over time. Calculus isn't just like a poison pill and a dangerous hard thing that you do. It actually has, whatever. So those of you who are nodding your head, yes, I like me some calculus. Good. So anyway, basketball's going in, and then you know what? I looked it up. I'm like, I play basketball all the time. A basketball is not 3 feet. You know how a meter? How much of you like the English standard measures? 1 inch, 1 foot. Do you like those ones, or do you like metric? You like metric. There you go. The whole world uses metric. You know where the foot comes from? Some king's foot. It's true. All of our units of measure are standard. They're just arbitrary. We just pick. Anyway, then I looked it up, because one of the things that is fun to do with kids and teachers and adults, and I hope you do it in your class, besides getting the pieces of paper, which are important. The pieces of paper are important. Let you open the doors. I hope you do that. Is just keep on asking questions that come in your mind, and then you find out these people telling basketballs, there's no 3-foot basketball. Why are you using that basketball? Well, it's easy for them to think of. Yeah, but the math is bad. That's Gerard from the county that I was talking with. So anyway, I think you should learn about rivers. Forget rivers. One thing that helps kids, people, be empowered to learn. We're talking Paulo Freire. You ever heard of Paulo Freire? Maybe now you can learn anything you want to. You stick it on your phone. Pedagogy of the oppressed. If you really need to learn something, you will learn it. If you don't have the language, you will learn that language. But some people are afraid. Check them out, Paulo Freire. Anyway, one of the things that's really important for people to know is, where do they live? Where do we live? Where is this place? And water is part of where we live. one thing that we have found out in the last 3 years, it really freaked me out, but it's also really good. And it's fun. Everybody takes water for granted all across the planet. We're working with these kids, high schoolers from Finland, and they got this awesome lake. I've been there in Helsinki. I went and worked with them. It's called Lake Galtrask. Because even though we do River Literacy Project, we don't care. We'll take a lake. We'll take any body of water. And Lake Galtrask is this man-made lake, and they have these like beautiful houses like on a lake, and the lake is, and it, you know, it gets cold there in Finland, and it like freezes up, and they go on ice skate it. That's a whole other thing. But they were like, we don't know nothing about this lake. I'm like, you all live in these nice houses right on the lake, and they just didn't even know anything about it. When we are working in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, with the most polluted in India, a lot of the people, so it's universal. That kind of freaks me out. But I'm a participant in that. That's why Mr. Danza and all these people and what you're doing, just come to here. It's a good thing to do. It's not just rivers, like learning where your place is and all of that. It's really rich and beautiful, and everything in the world is in it. There's art in it, there's music in it. I looked up on the internet some Ralph Waldo Emerson poem that I was going to read on my phone, but I left my phone wherever I left it. So I'm not going to do that. So I just think that what you're doing and what they're doing is really good. But for those of you who do go to Oxnard College, man, that was a bad, I shouldn't have given that I should have gone, woo. How about Oxnard College? Let's try that one. Woo. And then for everybody else, let's say, ah. Ah. And then for the people who go into Oxnard College whose parents didn't go to college, my parents didn't go to college. A lot of teachers, a lot of people go into teaching, they have that story. It's the narrative. My parents didn't go to college. They could have went to, well, my dad, I don't know about that. But my mom, she could have went to 9 colleges. In her day, not like now. It's so good for women now, even though there's a lot of bad stuff and everybody says, oh, he's putting women down. My mother went to college, went to high school, and in the old days, if you were really smart and you passed the class, instead of just giving you better stuff, they just passed you to the next grade. So she graduated, she was 16. Great. They didn't send her to college. They said, oh, no, now it's just, you can go be a phone operator now earlier when you're 16. So I just think what you are doing here, just pursuing your education, or for those of you here just to learn something interesting and listen to these interesting people. The other part that has been great about doing that is you get to learn there are people who take care of the rivers. I name them water keepers. I know that's kind of like a name other people use for indigenous people. By the way, native people have been taking care of the waters and the lands for like thousands of years, and it's also made me connect and have a lot of friends along those lines. So I appreciate you. Did I go long enough? You gonna give me a hook?
We're good now. We're good. So
all right.
Dr. Puglisi and others will be in the conference center. So definitely interact. If you want to be an educator, a great person to talk to. So let's give them a hand.
All right. Woo.
Woo. Yeah. We're going to move on to just a few more slides to introduce you to an 8-minute movie made by Friends of Santa Clara River, and it's going to feature one of our panelists that you recognize. And so we'll have this 8-minute video, and you'll recognize some professors from Oxnard College. And so let's do just a couple of slides, which I think you got back there. See if we get those on there. So what do you think of our panelists so far? Right, aren't they great? I found it inspirational to hear other people. And all of a sudden one day, I went to a conference and gave a talk. One of the first times I ever did that. And someone came up to me and said, wow, that was inspirational what I did. It was inspirational for them. And that's a great place to be. And there's no reason why any of you can't get in that kind of position, no matter what your major is or what you do in life. And that's a great thing to keep in mind. So knowledge is power. You've always heard that. And look at all the stuff that you should be studying and knowing about just to live here on the Oxnard Plain, our very special place here. So you got to make sure that you prepare for possible flooding, depending where you live. You need to control of your own water, your own destiny with water. Don't depend on other people doing it for you. Understand agriculture and these issues. Protect the environment, and very importantly, vote. But voting's not even enough, right? You need to do more than that. There's a lot of ways to do it. I am associated with Friends of Santa Clara River for quite a long time now. So I work with students, and you can get on a mailing list with the group to get notifications of events like this. Maybe after you move away from Oxnard College and you go to university, you want to stay in touch with these issues at home, or if you still live here, it's a great way to do it, including a Meetup site, which is the app called Meetup. There's a lot of events on there as well, including one on Saturday, Earth Day, right? Give the Earth a little hug. I just can't resist a little bit there, right? Happy birthday. All right, so Saturday is Earth Day. There's a lot of things you can do, and one of them is to head out to Fillmore, to the Fillmore Fish Hatchery. There's a beautiful nature trail on the floodplain, and you can help grow that trail by planting native plants and helping out the native trail there to make it even better. So that's on Saturday. Also get involved with writing people. It's easy to do by email. Just ask Google, who's my council person? And bam, it'll tell you who it is where you live. All right, support public funding. Help fund these folks that are doing great work, right? And that's often done by who you vote for. All right, here's a picture of the trail in Fillmore, before and after for the first section. On the left, it was literally a dead cow pasture. And now on the right, you can see the plants growing up there. It's a very special place with groundwater near the surface and supporting beautiful nature there. When you do great things, you can do great things like I've done. I helped Obama find a golf ball, right? I actually, okay, that's, all right, something's wrong with my head on that one. But, but I actually had an opportunity to testify of the state Senate about rivers several years ago. And so it'd be amazing the things that, normal, everyday citizen, I think that's what I am, what you can do. There I am with all the presidents even. How about that? I had different hair back then. And I'd like to thank, I'm not name dropping or anything, but I'll just go ahead and name drop a few people there. So, but anyway, you meet people as you move along in life. So, all right, we even got the plankton guy there. All right, so a little bit of information there. And what I invite you to do is, after the program, we'll move over there. But first, let's go ahead and get the video rolling. And this is an 8-minute video of a great field day at the Fillmore Fish Hatchery.
Growing up, Mom and Dad didn't really show me anything about the environment. They didn't know themselves. We didn't have information about that. It wasn't until I got to high school where I was able to see these programs and these teachers that were excited about the environment, and I wanted to be just like them. And that gave me chills. Like, my name is Diana Rodriguez. I'm an ESRM student at Oxnard College, transferring to Channel Islands.
Hi everyone, I'm Sylvia Schnapp, and I am a native of this area. I was born and raised in Oxnard. This is the first time I've ever been out here to the Santa Clara River in this area by the Fillmore Fish Hatchery. I'm really happy to be here as a volunteer this morning with Friends of the Santa Clara River. It looks like about 1/3 of the garden has been built out, and what we're doing this morning is moving mulch so that we'll be ready for, say, come planting season in October.
Now that I think back, nature was not that far away from me. It was blocks from me. And I never realized that because I never stepped out of the way. I never took the trail to see what was going on. So now that I know about it, I want to tell more people about it. I want more people to show up to the cleanups. I want more people to start planting more trees that are native to our area. Some people consider climate change to be a global issue. It really does come down to a micro level, and it's affecting our local communities just by having our water contaminated or our air contaminated. Climate change has affected our water supply.
My name is Jacqueline, and I'm here because climate change is an important issue for me. So anything that we can do to support our environment, I'm completely passionate about. Hopefully encourages others to come out and be a part of this amazing group. So I'm hoping to shovel up some dirt to plant anything that is available for us today.
Travis Kinworthy here at the Native Plant Garden adjacent to the Fillmore Fish Hatchery, just to the east of Fillmore. I've been digging up this non-native mustard species.
Can you eat mustard?
Yeah, you actually can eat mustard, and a lot of people like it on their hamburgers and hot dogs. You can actually just take this, pluck that right off, and eat it. Yum. I wouldn't eat too much of it though. But if you're out working in the field and you're hungry, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. The leaves on this, you can buy mustard greens in the store, make a salad, so you can just pluck those right off there and put that in your salad. Hopefully no animals have urinated on this one. I'm gonna eat it anyway. Yeah, need some salad dressing.
Oxnard has the richest soil, some of the richest soils. And if we continue to have these water issues, we won't be able to feed a lot of the country. And a lot of our immigrant workers are working on the fields. They depend on that. They depend on that water to come through. Thousands of field workers and people that are related to the agriculture jobs, they will lose their jobs and their livelihood.
The main channel of the Santa Clara River is running to our south. It runs pretty much east-west from the headwaters. The water table is higher to the ground than other places. And specifically where we are right now, it's very marshy. Juncus, a rush, it's a water plant. You'll find it a lot close to water. The soil seems to be healing itself, but we'll also be working on doing some amending when we plant, create a healthier soil for the plants to go in. It will be a natural soil. Sophia is the future of our future of restoration.
Sometimes people think that nature may mean I have to drive out 6 hours to a forest or to a desert. But our environment can be our local beaches. Our environment is the local river.
Now what do we do? Oh, hey, let's show a good example.
Who provides it?
You watched the whole time.
So I was raised in Fillmore. Growing up, there was not much to do here, but ride our bikes. There was orchards all over the place. One street light. And we used to ride our bikes around, just people telling us, don't go that way, there's bears.
What inspires you to come out and do this type of conservation and natural work?
I want to keep Fillmore to keep looking natural.
The biggest thing is healing, getting away from the noise, getting away from the stress of our everyday life, and finding a peaceful place, some sunshine, having a quiet picnic. That's really special.
We do this in our yard. We mulch. We have a chipper shredder. We grind. We make no waste at all. Very little. In fact, we were talking to the trash company. We said, can you just give us a little tiny can, because we put out maybe this much trash every week, because everything's composted or mulched. Look at everything you do in your daily life, and there's so many areas where you can save water, reuse it.
I hope to transfer probably to San Luis Obispo or Davis. They have an environmental soil science major, and I'm like, this is me.
She started working harder when I started filming.
You better make it look good.
Everyone can have a contribution in their own way. Small tasks, small changes that have ripple effects.
Hi, my name is Tamara.
I'm Kyle. I live in Ventura, so cool to see where some of the water comes from, contribute to restoring some of this land. There's a lot of agricultural history out here, so it's cool to see it being turned back into what it was. My minor was environmental engineering, so I've been in with a lot of environmental stuff for a while.
Hard, looking hard.
Come on, Jim. Put your back into it.
I'm right-handed. Remember, I'm the editor of the video, so.
What can we do? There are so many things. We can join local groups, sign up for cleanups, sign up to do planting trees. And I think the biggest impact that we can have is reaching out to our local leaders, our local congresspeople, reaching out in public forums where they can really understand what we need.
I just invite everybody who wants to do something to join up and volunteer with Friends of Santa Clara River.
I'll say to all the young people out there, do it. Take the leap. Join the club. If it doesn't strike a chord with you, go to another one. That was me a few months ago. I was invited to a Friends of Santa Clara River meeting. Then I joined another meeting, and another meeting, and now I'm a board of director.
Inspiration.
That's all about me.
The environment is for everyone. El ambiente es para todos.
All right, well, thank you. And thank you, Diana, for your great contribution to the video. And I'd like to thank our panel, Kat, Lynn, and Dr. John Puglisi for being here. So let's give them one more round of applause. All right, so locally, this program was partially funded by the Oxnard Monday Club and the local Sierra Club, also Bike Ventura and Friends of Santa Clara River, of course, we'd like to thank. They have also helped us sponsor the Oxnard Monday Club and Sierra Club, sponsor the food that we'll have next door. So we have some food and drink over there. Also want to thank OC Live and Professor Mack for his hard work on helping to get this program together and to make sure we had a great show for you tonight. And special thanks to Jeremy in the booth that runs the production out here, the lights, along with Dr. Scott Wolf as well, helping out back there. Also, cameras are run by volunteer students. So again, thank you for everyone and all the volunteers. So. All right, so now we're going to move to the conference center. You'll see some beautiful tables set up with exhibits. Our panelists and others will be at these tables, and please interact, ask them any question you want. Could be about rivers, careers, or college experience. What's their favorite color? Hopefully it's blue like rivers, or muddy color, maybe brown. This is fine, rivers do that too. So, all right, one last thank you to everyone, and we'll see you next door.
Good job.